like and subscribe. Now, what is the most overrated product you've purchased? Sears Best Canister Vacuum Cleaner. It was expensive, but lasted a few days over 1 year and quit, with only light household use. Sears wouldn't stand behind it. The cost of parts and repair was greater than the cost of the vacuum cleaner. No wonder Sears is in trouble. A few years before my grandma passed away, she bought a fridge from Sears. It died before the warranty was up. Their repairman said it would cost more to fix it than replace it. My grandma called Sears to set up a delivery time for the new fridge. The man accused my grandmother of trying to get free fridge. He made a widow in her 80s cry. We tried to help, but Sears blocked every number we called from. Eventually her kids bought her fridge from someplace else. This was years ago, but I still won't buy anything from Sears. When our last fridge died, we got a new one from Sears. Within a couple of days the frost-free freezer started accumulating ice. Called them about it. They sent a guy out to fiddle with the door and seals. A couple days later, more ice. This went on for a couple weeks. Finally I called and told them to come get their POs and refund my money. The broken English-speaking support person offered me a $400 Sears gift card if I'll let them have another go at fixing it. Nope. I was tired of them wasting my time. I wanted it gone and my money back. Then they offered me an $800 gift card if I'll let them try again. Not gonna lie, that did make me pause. I mean, $800. But I figured if they were that desperate, then their service was shitty enough that they had to make a plan to make that sort of offer when the time came. Ended up refusing their begging and bought a fridge from Lowe's and never looked back. That's crazy to me. It's a couple of decades back, but Sears used to be, like, Costco tier where you knew a Sears Kenmore Craftsman product was at least average if not a little better. Parts and service were always available. I was friends with a guy who was in charge of the motor pool for an army unit, and he used to grump about having to get tools from the government suppliers. He would always say, why don't they let us just get stuff from Sears? You know they're never going anywhere and you can pop down to the store anytime and get a new wrench. Sears stopped listening to their customers, and any corporation who does that long enough will fail. Sears let their stores go to cut staffing to the bone, and offshored customer service to the lowest bidder. Kenmore is just rebranded products from manufacturers like Whirlpool and LG. Craftsman tool production was outsourced to the lowest bidder in China, so you may as well buy Harbor Freight tools instead. I haven't heard one positive experience about Sears since the 90s. It took a Sears technician 3 appointments to try and fix my washing machine I bought from them before I said F it and fixed it myself in 30 minutes. Our washing machine failed and Sears came to take away the old one and install the new one. Later that day we found the old washing machine dumped in a brook near the road. Overly expensive paint brushes from hobby companies designed to specifically paint equally expensive plastic models' miniatures. You're better off buying brushes from an art store or getting some of the top brands like Artis Opus or Winsor Newton Series 7 FGW brushes. A Fuchsia ball. The marketing for that was genius though. Contact juggling is a skill, but the ball has almost nothing to do with it. The ball just looks uniform on all parts, so you can't tell when it's rotating or rolling. It's like showing someone a performance of an expert card cheat and telling them that by buying the deck of cards, you too can do what he does. Technically not wrong. They just didn't tell you how much practice goes into it. I had to Google this since I had never heard of it. This looks like the type of show I used to see in the mall being demonstrated. Like a little plane you throw and it comes right back to you, except the dude demonstrating has probably spent freaking years practicing. $400 Buffy brand eucalyptus comforter. Supposed to be fluffy and not hot. Totally too hot. How were its vampire slaying abilities? I bought one of those oversized gag lighters thinking the flame was going to be proportionally big. It wasn't. You need a crack lighter with the adjustable flame. Nearly everything I bought on Kickstarter Indiegogo, if I got the product at all, they are almost always low quality and don't do what they said they would. Some products would ship but the company goes under within a year or two, so no more support or replacement parts. A garden hose that was unkinkable. I paid extra for the guaranteed kink-free feature. It kinked up like a motherfucker. I bought an Unbreakable handle axe at Home Depot that used revolutionary new technology and it broke on the 3rd swing. Replaced it with a hickory handle axe which I still use 22 years later. In my experience, Anything marketed as unbreakable is guaranteed to fall apart very quickly. I once bought something marketed as an unbreakable can opener. It is the only can opener I have ever known to break. Maybe it wasn't an unbreakable can opener but was an unbreakable can opener and you accidentally used it on a breakable can? I have broken every can opener I have ever owned. My friends and family are completely baffled by it. I used to dig a lot in a former job and I always preferred wooden handles to any other material. Nothing else feels right. Fiberglass or composites just vibrate too much. Remember in Endgame Infinity War when Thor went across the galaxy to get Stormbreaker forged? The metal was a mystic material that could only be melted with the power of a neutron star. The handle? That's right. Wood. Thor knows. Probably half the curly hair products I buy. Literally 95% fragrance and 5% good stuff. I should really do my research beforehand. I'm a hairdresser. Let me know if I can help. ShamWows should be called Shames. Sea monkeys. When I was little, I ordered some from the back of a comic book. I thought they would look like the picture. A nuclear family who would interact and talk to me. Unfortunately, they were turned out to be very non-sentient brine shrimp. It was very anticlimactic. Yes, that was my first lesson in marketing. Victoria's Secret panties, and the quality has gone downhill immensely. I still have some of theirs from years ago when the quality was so high. The elastic never broke down. The fabric wasn't flimsy, they didn't ride up or sag, and then they started making lousy underwear that falls apart in the washing machine. If they could just go back to making quality cotton bikinis again I would come back as a customer, but I don't see it happening. I've had at least 2 pairs of new VS panties that fell apart while I was wearing them. I have a whole set of panties from H&M from 10 years ago with less holes than the year or 2 old VS ones. And they aren't even that cute, right? Their bras aren't much better, either. I bought the Slap Chop. Pure garbage. It literally exploded upon use as directed. No flames or anything, but all the parts came apart and went flying. You mean Vincophylitus? I can hardly believe it. He seemed so trustworthy. Did he lie about ShamWow too? Yes. My ShamWow I use to clean oil off stuff now, but my sticky still works for cat fur. Sounds like you didn't love his nuts. A 2020 planner. Anyone remember those sticky cup strapless backless bras? The ads were all over Facebook and Instagram for a while. I eventually gave in and bought one. The whole point of them in the ads was like pull the string in the middle to give yourself instant mega cleavage, and you can wear it under strapless backless clothes. Unfortunately, pulling your boobs together into ultra mega cleavage just means it makes the volume of your boobs flatter to pull them closer together, and since all it had was skin to stick to, and nothing but stickiness to hold it up, it was not very supportive. It was sticky enough for one proper use, but even still, the edges peeled away from my skin pretty quickly. There is a little cutout in the middle that's not sticky. That's where the nipple is meant to go. My nipples did not naturally or comfortably line up with those holes, so I had this incredibly sticky bra suction cup to my tit, and had to nearly rip my nipple off to get the bra off of me. After that, it is impossible to wash and store anywhere. The sticky surface becomes slick when wet, but goes back to sticky when it gets dry. But never as sticky as the first time. It has to air dry because towel fibers will get stuck on it, and it wouldn't survive a trip through the washer and dryer. It cannot be stored in a drawer, or touching any material because fibers will get stuck on it, and it cannot be stored face up with nothing covering it because dust will get stuck on it, thereby rendering it unsticky until you wash it again, and air dry it again, and store it wrong again. Rinse and repeat until you throw it in the garbage. I wore one clubbing once and let me tell you, worst decision ever. 1 minute I'm dancing on a podium with a couple of friends. Then I just feel it unstick all at once and drop out the bottom of my dress. I subtly kick it off the podium hoping nobody noticed, and then 30 seconds later I turn around to a group of 18-year-old guys holding it up to their chests and dancing, absolutely losing it. Thankfully I don't think they knew it was mine. OMG, I once went to a wedding in midsummer. Was wearing a great top but needed some covering of the nips. I used one of those stick-on bras. I started to sweat and I could feel the cups letting go. Second I stood up, they fell and landed in the grass in front of me. I'm sorry, but that's absolutely hilarious. I just imagine you standing, the bra falling off, it going completely silent, and after a long pause someone just goes, your boobs fell. Oh god, I wore them once for an event and I threw those BS away immediately after. It was a huge waste of money. I would have been better off just not wearing any kind of bra. I just saw an ad yesterday for a stick-on thong. No panty lines and reusable up to 20 times. That's a big old nope. Whoever the crazy person is that came up with stickable stuffed Our Lady bits is a psycho. Bought the SKI essence that always gets raved about in skincare communities. Used it at the same time as tretinoin and thought it was helping in the process of clearing my skin. Stopped using it and turns out it was just the tret. There was no difference in my skin after I stopped using it. The stuff is $100 a bottle. HH. I remember it being marketed as sandbox MMO with realistic player-driven economy. There was a pack that let you into alpha, a pack that let you into beta, and a pack that let you into few days of early access. All of the packs contained nothing but some cosmetic items irrelevant to the economy. The alpha was good. The beta was good, but with the final release, they fired up the cash store with such extreme pay to win. To be fair, PTW does strike me as a realistic player-driven economy. They just neglected to say it would be the IRL economy. Coach handbag. The strap broke after a few months and Coach refused to fix it. After I brought it back and the receipts to the store where I had purchased it, I bought an inexpensive replacement strap that lasted longer. After less than a year, there was evident wear at the seams. I have not purchased anything from Coach again. Coach has absolutely degraded its own brand, not what it once was. That's too bad. My mom had a Coach handbag that must have been at least 30 years old. One of the connectors in the strap finally let go and they sent a new perfectly matching part it with no questions asked. Most of my academic books, all the PDFs are available online. Cough cough. LibGenRS. Cough cough. I think the new one is .fun. Now, being baited into buying them when the lecturer told us they were essential reading. They were never mentioned again on the course and I didn't even touch them. Only one lecturer recommended a book that he actually used, and that was because he wrote the book lol. I so regret buying thousands and thousands of dollars worth of books in college. Really wish I'd found PDFs. There were so many that barely got used. Maybe 1 or 2 lessons and they are just dust collectors from then on. What a waste of money. Shake weight, but on the plus side, your jerking off abilities went up tenfold. Earwax candles. After laying on the floor like an idiot with a flaming burning candle in my ear, I took a minute to actually think about the process. Fool's gold. I bought a platform bed on the recommendation of the Wirecutter. They had this whole big spiel about how they test this is the best affordable option. Blah blah blah. I had to return the first one I bought because it came scratched up. The second one is just a plain, cheap platform bed. I don't think there's anything about it different from what I could have gotten from just hunting down the cheapest version of the product. Wirecutter went straight to crap around the time they became a knit publication. Now the majority of their recommendations seem to be the what's the most expensive option with an affiliate link. One of their recent lists of gifts for a college grad included a $200 wooden bowl. I bought this neck massager thing from an Instagram ad. It was a cheap plastic thing with 2 foam balls. I threw it out after a couple weeks realizing it was stupid as hell. An indestructible dog bed. Even claimed it could withstand bulldogs. Well, my bulldog tore out the rod that propped it open, which turned out to be flimsy plastic. Within a week, she had torn off a zipper and ripped the filling out. I was more angry at the company for making such false claims than my under 1-year-old dog. So I live in the UK, and Gatorade isn't really much of a thing here. It was even less of a thing a few years ago. We do have a very similar looking drink called Powerade. The only shop I knew that sold Gatorade at the time of this story was a big Tesco, and it was like 3 times the price of Powerade, solely because it's Gatorade and it's from the States. I casually say to my mates one day, man, I wanna try Gatorade but it's so expensive, and they're all like, OMG, you haven't tried Gatorade? Mate, it is so sick, you gotta try it at least once. This got my hyped, so I thought, F it, I'll treat myself. I buy it and take a swig. This shit's exactly the same as Powerade. I just paid like £3.50 for essentially a Powerade I could have got for £1. I confronted my mates about it and they were just like, Well, it is a little different. B, that is not how you described it to me the other day. I still think about that effing Gatorade, and this was like 5 years ago. Mayo. For what it's worth, we have Powerade in the States too. I think it's even a fountain drink at McDonald's. A waterbed. It was unsettling. Are those still around? My parents got one during the craze in the 80s. When I was like 10, I needed a new bed and I begged them to get a waterbed. It was actually cheaper than traditional box springs plus headboard and so I had a waterbed from like 10-15 years old. I can't remember why I got rid of it, but it was still in good shape. They don't really work well for anything other than sleeping. I used to sit on the edge to play video games and it effing sucked. But I really liked sleeping on a waterbed. You could make it like 90 degrees in the middle of winter and sleep with the windows open. In hindsight, the electric bill may have played some small part in getting rid of it. I always thought it was scary. As a kid, I thought if you pop it and it breaks, and you're asleep, won't you just drown? My parents once walked in to see me, age 2, methodically poking a neat line of holes in their waterbed with a needle. It didn't exactly pop. It was more like one of those garden sprinkler things. Pornhub Premium. I'm not joking. Pornhub Premium. WTF, just Google big booby like 50 billion results. Sometimes you wonder if the premium boobs are that much better. They aren't. Please, no one say a Roomba. I really want a Roomba. As long as you don't expect it to get absolutely everything, and treat it more like a machine that lengthens the amount of time between you vacuuming or sweeping, then it's a good purchase. Also, you need to keep a tidy floor so it doesn't get caught on anything. Super easy to clean and maintain though. I got my mate one for his wedding. A bunch of us chipped in. He's had it 4 years now and says it's the best gift he has ever gotten. Depends on the house of course, but I think it's a fine buy if it fits you and you don't mind the price. A fine present for the bride and groom. I loved mine when we lived in a place with a lot of carpet, but now we have hardwood floor and I feel it's just okay for those surfaces. Research what model is best for your floors before buying. I have the old Roomba, the dumb ones, and a new, smart one. It's definitely a cool improvement. Expect them to last 3 years or so. The old one, I replaced the rubber brush rollers, the spinning brush thing and a wheel. They definitely need maintenance. The new one, which enters itself is really good. Seems to be a company that actively learns and improves. You will need to maintain them though. Reddit Premium. I remember when Reddit didn't have ads. Old Reddit was much better. I remember when the point of cable was that you wouldn't have ads. Sure, you paid for it, but that was the whole point. Sadly, you can't do anything about places wanting more money. Don't worry, ads on streaming is coming. I have a bachelor's in philosophy. Think about it. I raise you to masters in philosophy and no PhD. A Gucci bag. $3,000 later. My life was exactly the same, but now I had to worry about being a target for getting robbed. Brighten earbuds. The left one has become noticeably quieter than the right one after roughly 8 months of use. They really aren't that much cheaper. They aren't great sound quality, just average overall, and they didn't last. I hated seeing all the paid ads by YouTubers for them because I knew straight away as they were saying how amazing they are that they would throw them in the dumpster and be back wearing their AirPods as soon as they're done filming that junk. I'm pretty sure someone exposed where Aiken buys their earbuds off Alibaba, basically China's bulk Amazon, for $30 each. Same exact earbuds, just missing the logo. I had a pair of earbuds like this and I was ready to write a letter to complain until I took a close look and took the rubber parts off, found a peg of earwax blocking one of the rubber pieces. Yes, I clean my ears and earbuds better now. Word of advice: anything advertised by your favorite podcaster YouTuber will be genuinely terrible. My smartwatch. It does a few things that my phone can also do, but not all of them, and it's a beta recharge. Beats by Dre. I just don't understand how they are worth the money. The name makes them expensive. Try Beats by Dave. They are the same product, but Dave, while he is a pretty decent guy, he is not famous enough to attract a premium on his product endorsements. My disappointment that this isn't true is profound. My doctorate in physical therapy. 7 years and 90k later, I'm a glorified personal trainer for $35 hour. $35 an hour isn't bad money assuming you have constant work, but I do feel for those student loans. Fidget spinner. Before it was a kid's toy. Bought one to help me not pick at my cuticles. Then after about 2 months and they got the guy just ended up looking like an idiot man child playing with a kid's toy.